Dense, humid air, towering trees blot out the sky, a distant planet teeming with unseen life. This was the setting of Master Chief's latest mission, a recon operation gone wrong. The planet's initial tranquility proved deceptive. Hidden dangers lurked beneath the vibrant flora, a silent threat the Chief was about to encounter. His training prepared him for any challenge, but nothing could fully prepare him for the ferocity of the Raptors. A twig snapped. The Chief froze, his enhanced senses on high alert. He had been tracking Covenant movement for hours, the jungle's oppressive heat clinging to him like a second skin. But this was different. This wasn't the familiar rumble of a hunter or the telltale plasma bursts of elites. The air crackled with anticipation. He could feel eyes on him, watching, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. His hand rested on the grip of his MA-5B assault rifle, finger hovering near the trigger. The hunt had begun. The Master Chief was a weapon forged for war, a Spartan-II super soldier encased in the formidable MJOLNIR Armor. It enhanced his strength, speed, and reflexes to superhuman levels, making him a force to be reckoned with on any battlefield. His arsenal was just as impressive. The MA-5B, a reliable workhorse, was his weapon of choice. He also carried a pair of M9 fragmentation grenades, perfect for flushing out enemies, and an M6D Magnum for close-quarters encounters. But his most valuable tool was his mind, tactical, calculating, and always 2 steps ahead. Raptors. The name sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened soldiers. They were the Covenant's shock troops, genetically engineered killing machines designed for stealth and agility. Their razor-sharp claws could tear through flesh and bone with ease, and their ability to cloak made them nearly invisible. The Chief had encountered them before, their swift, brutal attacks leaving a trail of carnage in their wake. He knew their tactics: strike from the shadows, overwhelm their prey, and vanish before reinforcements could arrive. This time, he would be ready. Section 5. A Dance of Death. The jungle erupted in a cacophony of gunfire and screeches. The dense foliage provided little cover as bullets zipped through the air, tearing leaves and splintering branches. The once serene forest had transformed into a battlefield, where survival was the only rule. 2 raptors materialized from thin air, their energy swords humming with lethal energy. These creatures, with their sleek, muscular forms and glowing eyes, were the stuff of nightmares. Their sudden appearance sent a wave of panic through the soldiers, but the Chief remained unfazed. The Chief reacted instantly, dropping to one knee and firing a burst from his MA-5B. His movements were precise, honed by years of combat experience. Each shot was calculated, aimed to neutralize the threat as efficiently as possible. The rounds ripped through the air, but the Raptors were too quick. Their agility was unmatched, and they moved with a fluid grace that made them nearly impossible to hit. The bullets whizzed past them, embedding themselves in the trees and ground. They dodged and weaved through the trees, their movements a blur to the naked eye. It was as if they were dancing, a deadly ballet of speed and precision. The Chief knew he had to adapt quickly or face certain death. One lunged, its claws extended, only to be met by the Chief's M6D Magnum. The Chief's reflexes were lightning fast, and he squeezed the trigger without hesitation. The shot was perfect, hitting the raptor square in the chest. The roar of the gun echoed through the jungle as the raptor was thrown backward, its body riddled with bullets. The impact was devastating, and the creature's lifeless form crumpled to the ground. But there was no time to celebrate. But the other was closer now, its energy sword a hair's breadth from his throat. The Chief could feel the heat of the blade, and he knew that one wrong move could be his last. He had to act fast, relying on his training and instincts to survive this deadly encounter. Section 6. Overwhelmed. The Chief rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the killing blow. He came up firing, his MA-5B spitting lead, but the jungle seemed to swallow the bullets whole. The remaining raptor was relentless, its attacks coming in a flurry of claws and teeth. He managed to block a blow with his rifle, the impact jarring his arm. He was tiring, the oppressive heat and the constant movement taking their toll. He needed to end this quickly, but the raptor was like a phantom, disappearing and reappearing at will. Section 7. A Glimmer of Hope. As the raptor lunged again, the Chief saw his opportunity. He waited until the last possible moment, then sidestepped, using the raptor's own momentum against it. The creature stumbled, momentarily disoriented, and the chief seized his chance. With lightning reflexes, he slammed an M9 fragmentation grenade onto its chest. The raptor screeched in fury, its cloaking mechanism flickering as it tried to disengage. But it was too late. The grenade detonated with a blinding flash, the sound deafening in the confined space. Section 8. Unexpected turn of events. The jungle fell silent once more, the cacophony of the battle fading into an eerie stillness. The air was thick with tension, as if the very trees were holding their breath. The only sound was the persistent ringing in the chief's ears, a haunting reminder of the chaos that had just unfolded. He winced, trying to shake off the disorienting noise. Smoke and debris filled the air, obscuring his vision and making it difficult to breathe. The acrid smell of burning vegetation and machinery stung his nostrils. He cautiously approached the spot where the raptor had stood, his heart pounding in his chest. Each step felt like an eternity, the ground beneath him unstable and treacherous. His finger still on the trigger of his MA-5B, he scanned the area for any signs of movement. The smoke began to clear, revealing the aftermath of the battle. As the smoke cleared, he saw something that made his blood run cold. His eyes widened in disbelief and a chill ran down his spine. A large, shadowy figure descended from the sky, its presence both awe-inspiring and terrifying. It moved with an otherworldly grace, defying the laws of nature. Landing behind the spot where the raptor had stood, the figure seemed to absorb the light around it, casting an ominous shadow over the battlefield. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before, a creature of pure darkness and mystery. His mind raced, trying to comprehend what he was witnessing. Its form shifting and swirling like smoke, the entity seemed to be in a constant state of flux. It was as if it was made of the very essence of the night, a living shadow. The chief raised his weapon, preparing for whatever might come next. He knew that this encounter would be unlike any other, a true test of his courage and resolve. With a deep breath, he steadied himself, ready to face the unknown. The jungle, once a place of danger and mystery, now held a new, even more terrifying secret. Section 9. An Uncertain Future. The chief raised his weapon, his instincts screaming at him to fire. His training had always been to shoot first and ask questions later, especially in the face of an unknown threat. The dense jungle around him was eerily silent, amplifying the tension in the air. Every rustle of leaves, every distant animal call seemed to be a potential danger. The chief's grip tightened on his weapon, his eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of movement. But something held him back. It wasn't fear, but a deep, inexplicable intuition. He had faced countless enemies before, from the ruthless raptors to the cunning human adversaries, but this felt different. There was a strange energy in the air, a palpable sense of foreboding that made him hesitate. His finger hovered over the trigger, but he couldn't bring himself to pull it. He had a feeling that this new arrival was far more dangerous than any raptor. The chief had learned to trust his instincts over the years, and right now they were screaming at him to be cautious. The unknown entity before him exuded an aura of power and intelligence that was unlike anything he had ever encountered. It was as if the creature was studying him, assessing his every move. The creature turned its head towards him, and for a moment, their eyes met. In that brief instant, the chief felt a connection, a strange understanding that transcended words. The creature's eyes were not just those of a predator, but of a being with a deep, ancient knowledge. It was as if the creature was trying to communicate something, a message that the chief couldn't quite grasp. It was an eye that held both ancient wisdom and a hint of amusement, as if it knew a secret that the chief didn't. The chief felt a shiver run down his spine. What could this creature possibly know that he didn't? The thought was both intriguing and terrifying. He had always prided himself on being prepared for any situation, but this was something entirely new. The creature's gaze seemed to pierce through him, seeing into his very soul. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the creature vanished, melting back into the shadows of the jungle. The chief blinked, trying to process what had just happened. One moment the creature was there, and the next, it was gone, leaving behind an unsettling silence. The jungle seemed to close in around him, the shadows growing darker and more oppressive. He felt a sense of loss, as if he had missed an opportunity to understand something profound. The chief stood there for a moment, his heart pounding in his chest. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing thoughts. What was that creature? Why had it appeared to him? And more importantly, what did it want? The questions swirled in his mind, but there were no answers. He knew he couldn't stay here forever, but he also knew that he couldn't just walk away from this encounter. He had survived the encounter with the Raptors, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something far more sinister was at play. The Raptors had been a known threat, something he could understand and combat. But this was something entirely different. The chief felt a growing sense of unease, a nagging feeling that this was just the beginning of something much larger. He had to be prepared for whatever came next. He had a feeling this was only the beginning. The chief knew that he couldn't let his guard down. He had to stay vigilant, to be ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The jungle was full of dangers, both known and unknown, and he had to be prepared for all of them. As he stood there, contemplating his next move, he felt a renewed sense of determination. Whatever this new threat was, he would face it head-on, just as he had faced every other challenge in his life.